Welcome to the Create What You Speak podcast. Join me as we have a real-life discussion on how to change your life by changing your thoughts. Remember, question everything, trust yourself, and find your truth. Welcome to the Create What You Speak podcast. My name is Sloan Fremont, and this week I have guest Kim Lyday from Holistic Healing Coaching, and we're going to be talking about raising your energy during times of struggle. I felt like this is something that we can all definitely benefit from right now. So we're going to talk with Kim. We're also going to do something a little bit different this week. We're going to do a meditation within this week's show. This is something I've wanted to do for a while, but didn't really feel qualified enough to do that. So I'm excited to have Kim on the show. Kim, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Awesome. Well, I'll start out with a little bit about you, and then I want to dig right in because I know we have a lot to cover today. So Kim is a holistic healing coach. She's a board certified music therapist and a woman on a mission to help awaken women creatives all over the world shift from feeling stuck in a mediocre life to discovering who they are at a soul level and fully embodying their power and abundance. She spent over a decade in the personal development industry and uses energy work, music therapy, and mindset coaching to guide others to find meaning in their lives and break through personal blocks so they can take the next step on their path and create lasting change and realize their dreams. She loves singing, drumming, and being in nature, reading, meditating, and playing with her 3-year-old daughter. So Kim, I'm so excited you're here, and I love your bio, how you're talking about you're a woman on a mission, because I feel the same about myself in this show and what I do here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what drives me is really, I have a heart for these women because they feel, so many of them I've found feel really lost and really need to find their voices and be able to express themselves in a way that's powerful and authentic, but there's something holding them back. And that's where I like to go in and we do the work and help them break through whatever that is.
Yes. And I feel like now, especially, so think about things, let's say prior to 2020, right? Everybody was feeling, a lot of people were feeling the way like you're talking about. And now we had all these things on that 2020 brought, right? Like the isolation, the loneliness, the feeling like you're the only one feeling this way, right? So it feels like that voice has even gotten further lost this year. So this work that you're doing, the things we talk about this on the show are, I think, just even more important now than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's get right in. So we're talking about today, raising your energy. And this is one of my favorite subjects. And I think as you and I talked briefly before, it sounds like it's yours as well. So, 2020 has been, to say a wild ride, I feel like it's just like an understatement. It's like a generic understatement, right? It doesn't even begin to like encompass what this year has been. But, and one of the things I've been struggling with too is it even possible to raise our energy during a time like this when there's so much what feels like struggle going on? Do you think that's even possible?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's part of what I teach. I do a weekly Facebook Live on Wednesdays on my business page. And part of what I teach is this concept of it's okay to not be okay. Because we are in a very difficult situation in the world. And at the same time, it's okay for us to step up and be leaders for the people around us. Because right now, it's the people who need us that we can really make a difference for when we step into our power and into our leadership. And we are willing to raise our energy for that purpose. We can make an amazing difference in the world, even when so much is going on around us. Like the West Coast is like literally burning, and right. We have people sick and people dying, and the economy's tanking. Like there's a lot going on. So I don't want to discredit any of that because it's turmoil, and I acknowledge that with the people that I work with. And then at the same time, how do we move through it? You know, how do we
Right.
make sure that it's not going to overtake us and overpower us and bring us to rock bottom so that we feel like we're not surviving anymore, but how can we move through it and rise above to the other side?
Right. And that's one of the things I'm discovering, like, as I'm going through this, is finding that voice again and even figuring out, like, okay, who am I in all of this, right? Like the things that I used to do maybe aren't working like they used to, right? I have to find new ways to sort through all of this. And with that, I think that it causes change within us, right? Like we become a different version of ourselves, and finding that version and being, like you said, being okay with not being okay as we like work through this, I think is so important, because when we face things like this, often our first thing to do is to just go right into beating ourselves up, right? Like whatever that it looks like, is different for everybody, but it's a similar thread, right? The beating ourselves up. And as we go through this, we are changing, and that's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's learning how to navigate that and be okay with what comes up and move through it, like you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And what is happening that many of the leaders are talking about out there, like in the coaching industry and in the energetic spiritual community, is that we are all experiencing a transformation, like it's a shift.
Right.
Despite like the hardship and the things that are going on, it's an opportunity for us to shift into a new way of living and being in the world.
Yes, and I've talked about that on the past couple episodes here about, the great awakening is one of the terms I use, or, shifting from that 3D consciousness into moving through 4D and into 5D. And as we do this, it requires a totally different perception almost, right? We're so used to our daily, like you're talking about, struggle, and we're so used to the daily grind of living, that as we all go through this awakening, because we all are, I mean, the whole planet this is happening. It's not just in our corner of the world, right? It's everywhere. And as we're experiencing this and living through it, we're coming, like, to me, it's like we're coming to terms with something that, isn't always easy to look at. It isn't always easy to sort through. And it can be, and again, I go back to that feeling of, feeling like we're the only ones, or we're not doing it right, or, whatever, but that's not true, because everybody's going through it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about raising our energy and doing, especially now. Can you share some examples in your own life of how you've done this and maybe what the result was?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I raise my energy, there's lots of different ways that it can be done. If you've followed any of Tony Robbins' events, he talks about physical energy, and he'll actually jump up and down before every event, and he gets everyone pumped up and jumping. So he calls that managing our state, and being in a state. So I do a more energetic approach, where I tend to go inside and I will do a meditation. And I actually learned this. I can't take full credit, because my mentor taught me. So I learned from Karina Stewart, who's a soul wealth coach. And these are some of the techniques that I've learned to use myself and then make my own as well. And it all starts with your heart space. So my particular gift is activating the heart space within others. And this is how I raise my energy. Whenever I'm feeling like really down, or if I'm feeling physically not well, or mentally like depressed, or if there's an outcome that I'm trying to make happen and it's not working for me, like, if this is my go-to. So actually we could pause and do the meditation right now if you'd like, because this is part of how I raise the energy.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do it. Yep. Let's get into that. So if you're driving, obviously pause this and come back to it later. We're doing a live meditation here, so obviously we don't want you to be driving and doing that. But I think that sounds good. I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'll let you lead us.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, wherever you are, just get into a space where you feel like you can close your eyes. And we want to get to a point where you can just feel like you can surrender and let everything go. So we start off with the heart space and just breathing in your heart. I'm going to play just a little background music for you guys to kind of get into that space. And just continue to breathe right through your heart. Imagine that the breath is coming through your heart directly, in and out. As you're focusing on your heart space, start to imagine that there is a light right in your heart. So as you focus on this light in your heart, notice it expanding and just let it fill your whole chest area, your torso, going through both your arms, up through your neck and your head, down through your hips and your legs and your ankles and your feet until you are just a full being of light. And just sit in that space as a being of light, feeling held and supported. Keep focusing on your breath, breathing in and out through your heart space. This feeling of being held just flow through you. And now we're going to bring in this energy of divine love. So those of you who are listening, who are a parent, like a mom or dad, you might find it easy to tune into this by imagining that very first time that you laid eyes on that first child of yours. That's the feeling that we're looking for. And if you don't have kids, you might have a loved one or a pet, or you just might imagine Source. But allow that feeling to overflow within your heart. So it'll originate right from your heart space. And just to let that feeling expand, you might see it as a light. It might feel like energy flowing through you. Whatever your experience is perfect. And we're going to let this feeling grow through our body. So you can imagine this divine love flowing through your arms and your legs, every part of your being. Now we're going to let the energy shoot out through your heart, filling the space around you, flowing out to your loved ones, the town you're in. You might see it expanding through your state, through your country, and around the whole world. Just let it go as far as it wants to go. Keep breathing through your heart space as this love just flows right through you. And now we're going to open the back part of your heart. So just imagine the back of your heart opening, and all this energy comes flooding in. And this is directly from Source, just flowing in through your body, going out through your heart. So it fills you up and it fills up the space around you. And now there's energy flowing in through our crown chakra, the top of our head. This is from the center of the universe. And it's shooting down through us, down through the bottom of our feet, into the earth, the core of the earth, grounding us. Now we're going to bring in gratitude. So just think of everything in your life that you have been blessed with. And so many things in this world that are full of beauty, love, peace, and hope. Let this energy fill you, this energy of gratitude. You feel that rising up through your body, so much joy and love and gratitude. And now just let all of this flow out through you. Share this joy with the world. You can let it out through your heart space in any form. You might see a spiral of energy flowing out of your heart. You might see colors. You might see shapes, images. We're sending all of this love and abundance out into the world in gratitude. And as our gifts go out into the world, breathe in and out through the heart space and more gratitude. Just letting that energy flow through us. And take all of that love in. There is a never-ending supply, so anything that comes through source just keeps flowing. And as we bring our energy back to a neutral place, start to become aware of the space you're in and your body. Wiggle your fingers, your toes, your body in any way as we come back. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and join us.
That was amazing, Kim. I especially loved the guitar. Meditation is always so, it's like every time I do it, I surprise myself because I know the benefits of it, but when I'm making excuses for why I don't do it, I buy into those excuses. And just right now, as we went through this, I mean, I had such a pretty hectic day this morning, and I was, feeling very, just fluttered, kind of like just scattered, I guess would be the word. And every time I do, when I sit down in meditation and I come out of that, like, it's almost like a totally different person. the benefits,
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. And how's your energy level right now?
Totally different. Like, I feel like before, yeah, I would say I was scattered before. And right now I feel like in the zone, like focused, like, not that I wasn't focused before, but I feel more, definitely at ease about things.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is what I do. Like this right here, something like a simple meditation like that, um, is where I start when I'm trying to make myself shift.
Mm-hmm.
So I start in the heart space, just like when I at the beginning I was saying, start in the heart, breathe in and out and through the heart,
Mm-hmm.
and then we imagine a white light coming out through the heart. That's your soul. So that's the light of your soul, allowing it to fill your body. Because what we're doing in that moment is we're connecting. So we're
Right.
connecting to our soul when we do that. And then the love, that's the essence of our soul. And that's what we're created with, is that energy of love. So that's why I get so excited about like this particular piece of the work that I do, because when we are in that flow and we can feel the energy of love flowing
Mm-hmm.
through us,
Mm-hmm.
that's when we move into a place of service. So
Mm-hmm.
if like no matter what it is that you do in the world, whether you have a regular job or you're a business owner or a mom or a single parent or whatever, when you shift into that frequency, that's one of the highest frequencies that we can feel and experience as humans. Love and gratitude are the highest. And when you're in that place, you forget about your own needs and or the victim stage. Some of us are
Right.
in
Oh
victim
yeah.
mode.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
I
so
know that well.
yeah, so if it helps us shift out of that victim mode so that we're focused on just serving. And when you're there, that's when everything shifts. Like that's when the money comes in, that's when your
Right.
relationships change, that's when your kids start listening to you if you're a parent. All of that, like it it's amazing. It's almost magical. Like people tell
Yeah.
me, they're like, I can't believe it's that simple.
Right.
And
Well,
I'm like,
yeah. Yeah. We want to overcomplicate things, don't we, as humans?
yes.
But and I
Yeah.
think also doing that, it gets us out of our story, right? We're so stuck in our story most of the time. And I found that, this year being so isolated and, being home a lot more, that story just gets even further ingrained. So doing things like this, which aren't hard, they don't take a lot of time. There's tons of ways you can do this, right? There's no, like, you don't have to sit here for hours on end to do this. We did this in what, 10, 15 minutes, right? I mean, there's many ways to do that, and these simple things get like to me. I always like envision the stories are like just this like loop in my head, right? Like a one of those big reel of movie, whatever you call that, from the old time when they had the reels, and so it's like just going and going through our head, and this is like pattern interruption, right? It blocks that, or it breaks up that pattern that we get stuck in.
Right, exactly. And then from here, like when I get my clients into this frame of mind, that's when I tell them to go take action.
Right. Yes.
That's like then they're not stuck anymore. Then they're not in their story. They're not
Right.
like making up excuses and feeling fearful and doubtful or anything like that. So whatever it is they want to achieve, whether it's a health goal or a business goal, or they need to go and have a conversation, like a challenging conversation, maybe with a loved one, in this space, I'll say, get yourself into the love energy, like do your meditation, gratitude, things that you're grateful for, whatever you need to do to shift. And then once you're here, go take action
Right.
and notice yourself being able to move through rather than stopping at the wall.
Well, right, because you're coming from a different place energetically, right? You're not coming from acting out of fear or anxiety or whatever, right? You're at a totally different level, right? The love and the gratitude. If you look at, the emotional scale, we're almost like on two ends of the spectrum, right? Like that, I mean, that's the way it feels for me. I come in to before a meditation one way and I come out afterwards in a completely different space.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk a
Yeah.
little bit about. So you played the guitar during the meditation, which I love, and I love music. Um, Part of the work you do is music therapy. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because I'm aware of music therapy, but honestly, I'm not exactly sure what it entails.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. And it's funny, not a lot of people have heard of music therapy. So it's so cool to be able to talk about this. And just for the listeners too, if anyone is wanting more information on music therapy, if you go to musictherapy.org, that is the American Music Therapy Association, and they have like all this information and articles and things about the nuts and bolts, basically,
Hmm.
of music as a therapy tool. But in essence, it's using music as the modality to achieve non-musical goals. So non-musical would be basically any life goals that you have. It can be self-help goals. I do a lot of work with autistic individuals. So we'll work on life skills and social skills and learning how to follow directions and sit and attend to tasks and
Hmm.
communicate. Communications fun. And that's just where I've worked with it more specifically. I'm now bringing the work into my coaching practice as well, because it's so powerful with what we call like well adults, normal
Yeah.
adults like you and me, um, because there's a psychological component to it as well. I've actually some groups where we do like a song analysis kind of thing, where we'll take different songs that are out in the world that exist, and we'll bring them in and we'll talk about what they mean to us and what the music means, what the lyric means, and how we can apply the messages of those songs to our life.
Hmm.
And then we might do some other things with it as well.
That's so
Music
interesting.
making. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of
Yeah.
the things on the show. I mean, for the first couple of years of the show, that's what I would do. Have intro and outro songs that tie to the message that I was talking about that week. And I felt like for me, music always was a way I could express emotions that I couldn't always say in words. It was when I was especially younger. I mean, I had a really hard time expressing my feelings or my thoughts. I would get super frustrated. And I always felt like music helped me communicate that. It helped me solve that piece that would lead to a lot of discomfort for me. So that's really interesting to hear you talk about that and how it works and in quote the real world, I guess, right? Other than outside of like what I do on this show. I mean,
Right, right. Yeah. Well, like you said, even listening to a song can shift your energy.
oh, totally.
Y-
Yes.
We
Hmm.
all have that song that's like our favorite song, that's our go-to when we want to like be in a good mood. It's on YouTube that I play
So
sometimes
do
too.
I. Yep. Hmm.
So we all have our songs that have meaning to us. Um, and it's exactly that. It helps us to express our emotions. Just like quick story, when I was a teenager, and of course teenagers have lots of emotions
Right.
going on, and I the only instrument at that time that I knew how to play was the piano. And I knew how to play one song really well, Canon and D. And so I would go, and whatever I was feeling, if I was feeling angry, I would go and I would turn on my keyboard into this like deaf Halloween organ sound, and I would play it like dramatically.
Right. Right.
And then if I was feeling happy and excited, I would play it totally different, same song, but I was putting all of my emotion into it. So the
Yeah.
act of making that music was a way of me expressing how I was feeling. And if I
Right.
had had a music therapist, with me at the time, we would have processed those emotions, I'm sure. But, being a teenager and didn't know at the time that music therapy was even a thing, I was just using it as a tool, intuitively, I guess.
Right,
Just like,
exactly, right. I mean, and even in doing that, right, the energetic exchange there that you're having, like when you're getting all that out, right? We all know that feeling of whatever it is. Like sometimes for me, it's cleaning the house, right? I just need to get I got too much energy built up and I've got to get it out, right? Or even like when you're in the car, if you're screaming the song at the top of your lungs, right? And nobody else is around, right? That's super healing, right? To get all that, especially if you feel like stuck or energy is stuck in you, and especially if it's stuck in like your throat chakra, you know, where you feel like you're not expressing yourself, like just being able to scream it out is like, oh, so therapeutic, you know?
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
And it's so interesting just from, you know, we think, you know, these things that we, that are, you know, anything creative for that matter, I guess, you know, would be a way to express that energy. But when we, there's so many components of music, from the interpretation of the sound itself. You know, I've listened to songs in languages I don't fully understand, but I can still get the feeling of the song, right? Even if I don't know the words, I can interpret it emotionally from the way the music is being played. And then you add the, you know, the lyrics to it, and then you also add with music, you know, where you are in your life, right? There's songs that I can listen to or hear that were, I can tell you exactly where I was in, you know, 1996 when this song, you know what I mean? It's so, music to me is just so, there's just so many components to it, and it's so interesting in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really love when you were talking about like releasing through the throat chakra as well,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because people don't realize this, but we ourselves, like, we are an instrument. Our voice is an instrument, bodies
Mm-hmm.
are an instrument, and we are always vibrating because everything is energy.
Right.
And when we release our sound into the world, we're sending our energetic frequency into the world. Which is so crazy to think about, but yeah,
And it is, and it goes back to like what we talked about at the beginning with like the awakening of everyone, right? And this raising the consciousness. I mean, it's all one, right? It's all energy. We're all part of the quote energetic, the matrix, the system, you know, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, you're sending that energy out, and you're a part of the bigger scheme of things. That's probably not the right word, but I think we forget. And you know, again, I go back to what I said earlier about how now, with being so isolated for a lot of us and alone, that we forget that we have a big role in this world, right? We're not just this offshoot, you know, on our own, like just individual with, you know, no impact. You know, we all are a part of this, and I think it's really important to remember that. And then if you think about that from, you know, energetically, like we're talking about, like even with music and things, it's all connected. It's all part of the bigger picture, and no one is overlooked or forgotten. And I think that's easy to forget right now.
Yeah, it really is. It is. Being home alone or isolated or not being able to go out and interact with other people, it's easy to feel like we don't matter.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, the world is going on, it'll go on without me. But it's so true that our energy has a direct impact on the people around us.
Right.
It's, you know, it's hard, like, if people aren't already into this kind of thing where they're following the energy conversation, it can sound really woo and like, okay, this lady's crazy, but
Okay.
it's absolutely true.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I agree. And I think that we're to this point right now where enough people are questioning, enough people are, you know, we've had a lot of time alone, right, to start thinking through things. And so all of these things that we once knew, I've talked about on here before about how it's almost like we're relearning everything again, right? Like we're relearning the things that we thought we knew. And that can be really unsettling. But this understanding or this belief or this even acceptance of the fact that we're part of something bigger, I think it's so important right now, because it's, you know, it to me at least, it reminds me that, like you're saying, I'm not just this person here that's forgotten because I'm home alone, you know, and the world is going on. I mean, where it's much bigger than that. And it's I think it's a good reminder to just think about that, consider it. Even if, if you're listening and you don't maybe believe that, we talk about on the show a lot about take what resonates and leave the rest. And, I think things like that, especially now, are really important to consider.
Yeah.
Well, Kim, it's been amazing to talk to you and to do the meditation. I loved that. That was so fun. And it was something like I said, I'd wanted to do on the show for a while. So I'm so happy to have you on to be able to do that.
It was so fun. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I hope that your listeners really got value out of the conversation today. I hope they fill their hearts with love and they go out and they share it.
Yes. Amazing. So let's talk about how the listeners can find you. I also want to remind everyone again about what you said about your Wednesday Facebook Live session. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I'm on Facebook, and the URL I believe is facebook.com/the Kim Lyday. So TheKimLyday, and that is my business page where every Wednesday at 4:44 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do Holistic Wellness Wednesday. And I just teach a little something, every week it's different. Sometimes I do meditation. Sometimes I do some energy work. Sometimes I just give little tidbits, but it's a fun time to connect with everybody. So that's every Wednesday at 4:44 on Facebook. And then the other way to find me is on my website, which is holistichealingcoaching.com. And there's a free gift for everyone on there as well. Right at the top of the page, you can download a free harmonic healing activation, which is about 20 minutes long, similar to what we did today, but more focused on like getting yourself grounded for the day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. And I'll be sure to link to all of the sites you mentioned in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Kim, well, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so glad you came on. Do you have any parting words for the listeners before we wrap up?
Just stay in the heart. Everything happens in the heart. Everything. Stay in that space of love and remember that we're created with love.
Exactly.
And that's my message.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kim. And that's it this week for our show on raising your energy during times of struggle. See, we talked through it and we gave a perfect example of how to do that. So I hope if you're listening, you found this beneficial. Remember my new social media accounts. I have accounts on Parler, Mayway, and also my Telegram channel. I have links to all that in the show notes. So please join us. It's free. And don't forget my 33daysofmagic.com, the program that I created where we can take what we've learned in the show and take it one step further and apply it in your own life. So you can find more information on my website, sloanfremont.com. And remember, question everything, trust yourself, and find your truth.